Bam! MC is in the house. Here we go again. Give you guys a moment or two to jump on. I am going to bring up this video. All right. All right, this is good. Casey, listen, Casey, I'm training you now more than the school's closed than when it was open. All right, so as you guys are jumping on, I appreciate. What's up, Big Todd? Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't expect everybody to like my videos. I don't expect everybody to like me. You know, it's what's up, Matt? It's going well. It's going exactly as it should. You know, I don't expect everyone to like me. I don't expect everyone to like my positions, my especially topside. Topside, oof, it's a fucking meat grinder. Little jiu-jitsu joke. But I do understand that whether you guys like me or not, you're staying engaged, you're debating me on some points, and listen, I welcome all of it. You know, when people start acting like, Jesus, what were we, fucking 2 minutes into the thing? I'm already cursing. My wife told me that I curse too much on the videos, so I'm trying to not curse as much. But I'm not going to fucking promise you anything. It's important that we stay engaged in anything, in a general sense, because I know a lot of you guys are stranded in your houses and nothing to do. You guys are running out of Netflix movies to watch. Everybody at this point, I think the majority of you have watched Tiger King already. But whatever it is, you know, I want to at least make myself available for some interactive I was going to say education, edutainment, entertainment, however you guys look at it. So, all right, what am I talking about today? What's up, Big Keith? Matt, what's up? What's up, Danny? What's up, Kayla? Carol is a cunt. Yes, Carol's definitely a cunt. So today, we can't survive on sand. There are a lot of people putting their heads in the sand these days, in case you didn't get the reference by the title. You know, my position, you know, one of the things I told you guys a couple of things, videos and videos ago. One of them is that people who are being very emotional, the more scared end of the spectrum, are going to create a lot of false dichotomies. They're going to say it's either this or it's that. And one of my old school teachers, who's a nice guy, you know, I'm not going to sit here and badmouth him, but he's the latest of a whole slew of people who just had the emotional reaction and created a false dichotomy. So what is a false dichotomy? False dichotomy is there are many options available, but one sort of presents the scenario in a way that suggests there's only two. This individual, based on my last post when I talked about, you know, I was obviously being a little, you know, sarcastic in my post. His response was, oh, yeah, everybody do what Justin's saying. Go out and spread it, and it doesn't matter. And he said some shit. I'm going to read it verbatim. By the way, if you post on my my threads here, you know, like there's a good chance, you know, you might wind up getting your comment read. So here is the comment. Where is the comment? Here it is. This is the comment that was made by a by a friend of mine. He's actually a former school teacher from the high school I graduated from. Not Bronx Science. Oh, that's a cheap shot. I'm just fucking with you. But this is his comment, and this is on the post that I had written, that whole, everybody's being selfish, stay inside, trust the government, media, that whole post. He writes, "Hey everyone, listen to Justin. Go out and spread the disease as widely as you like. That will show the government the real meaning of freedom. How dare any government worker try to protect as many people as possible." As if my situation, or my position rather, as if my position at any point during this entire situation was that coronavirus doesn't exist, COVID-19 is a lie, it is a fucking made up story that they're convincing everybody of, and you're an idiot or you're weak if you don't go out and just do everything they're saying that you shouldn't do to spread it. And that's never been my position. So far, I've known directly one individual, indirectly 3 other individuals that have died during this last month. I've spoken about that before. So please don't understand, my position is not one of just a complete rejection of the fact that there is a situation that we're dealing with as a society. I acknowledge that. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to fucking say. And it has never been my position to just ignore this and pretend like it's not, it's not there. That would be fucking ridiculous. However, if you are somebody who believes that, number one, by staying inside, by keeping basically the country on lockdown, we are going to wind up eliminating this disease, I think at this point, there is enough information to comfortably call you a fucking retard. We are not going to eliminate this virus by everybody staying home, which means at some point, and this is not even getting into the whole economic, cultural, societal argument, but just dealing with the disease itself. And again, I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a professional statistician. I'm not somebody that deals with these types of things over and over again. But at some point, we have to sort of come out of our caves and see if it's safe to continue living. Now, there are a lot of people who I almost don't hold you responsible for your positions because you're really dumb, and I sound like an asshole saying that, and I understand that. I'm not a fucking genius, and I don't think you need to be a fucking genius to understand my positions. But there are some of you who are really struggling with just processing the information and having debates with people who are not sort of just following the exchange of information. It's laborious. Now, that's not to say that there could be somebody who just has a completely incompatible premise than my own. Remember, so let's start off with what that is. My premise is that I am not willing to sacrifice freedom for safety. I'm not willing to do that. Now, as I apply that to our current situation, our current scenario, what I'm saying is we have to be as responsible as we could functionally be. I think there's a certain point, though, where people think, hey, we're just going to stay in our homes and everything's going to be great. And, the government's sending us money. The government is going to take care of us. They got us. They're going to hold us down until we flatten the curve, right? Because everybody says that now, right? Flatten the curve. And there's not going to be any consequences for this. Newsflash. Number one, you elitist fucks. There are people who live check to check At certain times growing up, there were times where my parents, who both worked full-time jobs, oftentimes my father more than one, we lived check to check. There is no, for the person who's living check to check, there is no, let's just hang out in our house 2-3 weeks and everything will be fine. It doesn't fucking exist for these people. So for those of you that are saying, this guy, he's well, you can say whatever you want, I guess, I get compliments too. But this guy, he's just, he's ignorant of the data, right? You can always tell when somebody's being an arrogant fuck when they don't say information or stats, they say data. Well, when you look at the data, it's like, give me a fucking break, all right? Anyway, there is no way that these people who look at the information available and conclude that, yeah, we should just stay inside 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it takes, I'm willing to sacrifice. No, you're also willing to sacrifice everybody else. And not everybody's in a fucking situation to have food and all of the other amenities that everybody would fucking jump off a roof if they didn't have. Not every one of these people can just survive hanging out in their house. Now, worth saying, right? Worth saying, I'm good. I am good. Why? And I've said it before, I've been practicing preparation and social distancing for about 30 years. For about 30 years, I've been trying to get the fuck away from everybody. But there are people out there, like I relate to these situations. Now we're not going to have the argument over life decisions that allow people to wind up in these situations. But, I've used this example, and I've heard other people on other interviews use my example, and it's one that I still stand by. If you have, and it's a very, reasonable hypothetical, if you have a single mother of two who lives check to check, whose two children go to public school, you've now sent her kids home, you've taken away her ability to earn a living, and you're telling her to stay in her house. Now, listen, homeschool, I'm all about it. I wrote a fucking book about it, right? You're not going to find a bigger advocate. But we're talking about somebody who has a functional formula for living that is being completely undermined and sabotaged. By the way, this single mother, in my hypothetical, is statistically more likely to get run over by a car than die from this virus. Her kids, statistically speaking, are fucking immune to it, right? Go and look at the stats. Go look at the stats on individuals under the age of 15. How many of them have died from this virus? So when people say, well, we need to do whatever's necessary to flatten the fucking curve. I'm trying not to curse as much. When people say that, oh, how nice it must be for you to be able to stay in your house for 3-4 weeks. How fucking nice. By the way, I'm good. I close my door 6 months, at least, before I come out. My wife and children may have left me by then, but I won't run out of food. Oh, man. So that's the first thing. The first thing is how do you people think that just everybody could stay in their house for 2-3 weeks? Now, here's one of the things you get. You get a lot of individuals who are, educated. And let me throw in here the healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, and everybody in between. That's my joke to piss off the nurses. If you are showing up to work, whether you are, this is going to end society, this is so dangerous, or, I'm just going to enter a hellish, level of workload right now. Like, wherever those health workers are in terms of their relationship with this pandemic, I have nothing but the utmost respect for you. People who leave their children their wives, their husbands, their children, and they go and expose themselves to statistically probably the worst type of environment to be in terms of, catching this virus and then, relegating yourself to wherever it brings you, whatever it does. Like, I have the utmost respect for you, but I will say, and it was important that I put that out there first, I will say many of you are what I call rule followers. You guys look at reality as if it could be reduced to a data chart, right? Data, not info. Well, right now, statistically speaking, if you, and it's like, listen, if your argument, right, and this is why I don't fault the people who are advising Trump that are looking to extend this lockdown, whatever the fuck you want to call it, for as long as they can. I don't fault them for this because they're doing their job. People who work in the healthcare industry, you're doing your job when you're telling people to be healthy. You're doing your job when you're saying, listen, I don't give a fuck about money, about lifestyle, about anything but your health, and this is what you should be doing for your health. Like, I get it. But please understand, there's a certain point where your opinion is just that. It's one of the factors that goes into what ultimately we should be deciding to do. It's funny. I used to fight MMA professionally. I only had 2 fights. It's not like I was, this fucking journeyman. But my entire life, I had participated in things up to and including fighting MMA professionally. They were not healthy decisions. Right? One of the legends of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, Rolls Gracie, died in a hang gliding accident. Like, it is not in our nature to just choose the safest options available at the expense of our ability to live our lives. Now again, let me just reiterate. I'm not saying that this is fake. I'm not saying that this virus doesn't exist. I'm not saying that this is all a fucking con job by the Illuminati or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying, we need to understand that this has to end at some point. An analogy I made in my last video is even in The Walking Dead, somebody's got to go out for fucking supplies at some point. You want to never get run over by a car crossing the street? Never cross the street. I could think of these examples all day long. And these everyday examples that I could just shoot from the hip all day long will allow you, some of you already get it. Some of you are going to reject it no matter what I say. But those of you that are on the fence, I'm just trying to say that we mitigate our exposure, vulnerability to the risks and the threats on a regular basis. Sure, bringing up how many people die from the flu, how many people die from AIDS and cancer, and they have those deaths and the statistics relating to those deaths have nothing to do with the statistics of this particular scenario. But I've contended from the beginning, the relevance and value of all those other statistics is to remind us that we already have established a successful precedent of coexisting with risks in the face of our mortal vulnerabilities. We wouldn't be where we are if we everybody went inside and just shut the door until every storm passed. And it's just not who we are at the heart of what what human nature is. What is the human experience? It's not running from every single risk. That is not to undermine the risk that has already been established to exist where this is concerned. What I'm speaking about is when do we come out of the cave? Because it needs to happen. And people need to start building a relationship with what that's supposed to look like. People need to start building a relationship with what the cost is going to be the longer we push that off. There are people who right now, the metrics exist that will show that the ability for them to get this and be on a ventilator or, chance forbid, die, there are certain populations that are so statistically insignificant when it comes to who we should be looking out for. We're going to be losing more and more momentum in our argument to tell these people to stay inside. One of the things that I had mentioned in other videos is a lot of people have no idea what it's like in the hood. Never mind the single mothers who live check. That's one, observation of something that happens in the hood. But I also contended there is no way that these people are going to follow what everybody's telling them to do. It just so happens that my boy Greg shared a video of, and it looked like it was probably the fucking Bronx, in the hood somewhere. It had to be 20, 30 people like rioting in the street and police there. And the people are fighting in the street with masks on. It's like a fucking comedy show. These people aren't going to listen to what you're saying to do. When I say these people, I mean the broke motherfuckers that live in the hood. And sure as shit, I've been saying that for a couple of days now. There's a video of I think it was yesterday or today that it happened. They're going to continue to do this. And how can you tell people, right? So here's another thing. There are going to be people who at the tail end of this, entrepreneurs I'll speak about. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a small business. There are going to be people who their small businesses are done after this. It's not to say that they can't sort of bring it back. It's not to say that, where there's a will, there's a way and all that good stuff. But there are going to be people who are done, who are now unemployed, who now have to find some other way to feed their families. And a lot of them are going to be people who are healthy, who are young, who are fit, who deal with, namely, the jiu-jitsu MMA community, who deal with, by and large, healthy individuals. Again, who statistically aren't really fighting a tremendous battle against this virus, these age groups. And these people, now just put yourself into the headspace of one of these individuals. You have somebody who's healthy. I keep hitting this. You have somebody who's healthy. They run a business where the people who who patronize their business are also healthy. Their workers, the people who participate in their business, statistically speaking, are more likely to die in a car accident than from this virus. And now you are this entrepreneur, right? Put yourself in this person's head. And they're looking at a business that they've built maybe their entire lives is just disintegrating in front of them. And what is the collective reply to this individual's rejection of this lockdown and his expression of opening back up the country and getting back to work? You're being selfish. You need to worry about the other people. Does he need to worry about the other people? Okay, to some extent, right? We have the whole, a societal alliance, at that level. But is he supposed to worry about these strangers more than his children, more than his wife, more than his livelihood? Exactly how many other people is he supposed to put before himself? Because there are a lot of people who are sitting very comfortably in their homes, their middle class, upper class homes, where 2-3 weeks ain't gonna do nothing to them. I have coaching students of mine who do one-on-one coaching with me who are in the health field. Many of them are making more money right now. And I got guys that are fucking crushing it. And every single time I'm telling them good, and we're gonna navigate to have you crush it even more. But that's not the standard experience right now going on in America. He shouldn't feel a damn bit guilty for making money. But there are the other people that I'm talking about. The people that, it's like they would cut their neighbor up for food before they let one of their kids die to save the neighbor. This is just a basic understanding of how tribes work, of how we're programmed to work as parents, as brothers, like as children. Like these connections, they are organic, they're natural, they're functional, and they're most of all understood. Everybody, we're gonna stay inside to flatten the curve. So my position has always been, if you are of the vulnerable class, right? Let's call them the vulnerable class. You have every option to stay at home. All of the welfare that everybody's getting, how about we reserve it for all of the vulnerable people, the people in the vulnerable class? Why don't we take these resources and allow them to stay home? Let them fill out a form. Let them go home and then online fill out, like everybody's applying for unemployment now. Everybody's applying for loans, right? All the things that are going on that everybody's doing somehow, even though everybody's locked down. Why don't we allow those people who are of the vulnerable class to participate in programs that are set aside for them? Listen, you're diabetic, you have asthma, you're morbidly obese, you're over the age of 60, over the age of 70, you have some sort of, immunosuppressive disease or illness that makes you vulnerable to this more than others, statistically speaking. Yeah, no problem. Check the box. You'll get your mailbox money. You'll get your food deliveries. What the fuck are we talking about here? I'm not somebody who's all about, by policy, well, if they die, they die. Shouldn't have been weak, motherfucker. That's not a functional position to have, policy-wise. Philosophically, there's a different story. But I understand there are people who have been kept alive by this fucking aquarium that we have. And while being kept alive in this aquarium, they've allowed themselves to physically venture off into no man's land when it comes to the health of their body. And here we are now. Here comes the coronavirus cashing checks. And guys are realizing that the way the bank account's set up is they have all their health and their savings, and coronavirus comes for the checking. So, there might not be enough to clear that check. Like, I get it. But again, exactly how many people are supposed to sacrifice their livelihoods? So let's add another position now. Another position is, do you guys really think that this is not already rampant and established in our society? Like, do you guys really think at this point that if you stay home, you're gonna stop this from spreading? Like, as a functional strategy, do you think the lockdown, because here's the thing with the rule followers, right? A lot of the healthcare workers, a lot of the big 10-pound brain guys, they think very linearly a lot. Adding context to their positions is not their strong suit, nor do we want it to be their strong suit. Like, if there is somebody right now looking to design a vaccine for this, or I'm not getting into vaccines, don't get me started on that, but who's going to design a cure for this, right? A cure. I don't want him thinking about the economy. I don't want him thinking about, all the things that I'm bringing up. No, you fucking geekazoid. Get in the fucking lab and figure this shit out. That's what we want those people to do. But we have to understand that information we get from those types of individuals is a factor, right? It is just a factor. One of the things that Trump's sort of charged with right now is, in the face of that medical advice and information, he's faced with making decisions that a whole lot of people are going to be opposed to. Because whenever you have somebody that said, listen, if doctors say you should be home, then you should be home. It's like, no. That's not the way this works. It's not the way this works. If you follow doctor's advice, you'll be doing all the things. call out individual people. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be too much of an asshole. You'll be doing all the things that society has already proven unwilling to sort of live like. I ride a motorcycle. I always find it, curious how, in the government's mission to protect us from ourselves, I could get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. And the next day, ride around on a motorcycle. How the fuck is that a thing? Yes, but seatbelts save lives. Well, seatbelts save lives. At what expense? Because I guarantee you that is the sizzle that's being sold, not the steak. The steak of seatbelt laws it's a fucking revenue generator for municipalities, cities all over the fucking world. You don't have your seatbelt on. That's, $100, $500, whatever the fuck it is. Yet you could ride around on a motorcycle. Why don't they outlaw motorcycles? Only because they don't think they can get away with it. Why can't they get away with outlawing motorcycles? Because that's probably past the threshold of what people at their current level of cuntiness are willing to stand for. I've heard a lot more educated and intelligent, admittedly, individuals than I have speak about what is actually going to happen when the economy collapses. And how many people are going to die then? How many people are going to die by fucking sucking on a barrel or jumping off a roof or, swallowing a bottle full of pills? What's crime going to do during the collapse of the economy? How much of these, because right now with the public, right, I live up in PA. Where I live, there are a bunch of fucking rats. The mindset of some of these people where I live is baffling to me. Like you see it on social media, ratting out businesses that are still open, ratting out people that are working outside their house, ratting out groups that they're like naming names and like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? But that type of mindset, it gives those people that would get more control, those people in government that would get more control, it gives them all the momentum and support they need to do so. Go look at 9/11 and go look at the Patriot Act and look at how the energy that was formed on 9/11 was leveraged into basically what became a huge, tremendous robbery of our individual rights and privacies. But if you were against it, you were for the terrorists. Right now, we're not for the terrorists, we're for the virus. If you're talking about the economy right now, you are for the virus. It's a false dichotomy, people. It is a false dichotomy. I've known people that have died this last month, whether they died from coronavirus, COVID-19, or they died while having COVID-19, two different things. I don't know the answer. But I'm not sitting here willing to say or fucking gamble away that, hey, that shit didn't kill anybody. They died from some other stuff. I'm not willing to say that at all. I don't believe that. I think it's legitimate. But I'm also, I talk about martial artists, right? And so many of the guys who run martial arts schools, in my little microcosm of the martial arts world, right? Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and MMA. Martial artists are supposed to be the ones preserving the identity of the warrior class. We're the ones that are charged with keeping people connected to a functional relationship with violence. Have enough people that have cultivated, right, that relationship with violence, and you actually wind up not having violence. A lot less. Speaking from personal experience, I grew up, I was a fucking madman. I was fighting all the time. There's a bunch of people watching right now that know me as a teenager, and They can vouch for it. It was not until I started training martial arts, seriously, that I found not only an outlet, but a framework for all this aggression. It's like, okay, I'm not supposed to be wasting it on this. Well, now you have members of that warrior class that are some of the biggest cunts you could find. Right? If you're somebody who has followed me for any length of time, certainly my students understand this position. Like, it's never been about trinkets to me. It's never been about going to tournaments and winning medals and being the guy, oh, look at me, look how awesome I am. You know, all of these arrogant little shits taking pictures with their fucking medals. Like, grow up, fucking child. There are real problems on the fucking horizon today. Real adult problems. Problems that have nothing to do with a fucking trophy or a medal. You fucking children. And those of you that are charged with being leaders of these individual communities, where are they on this? Hey guys, stay at home. You gotta be safe. You gotta be careful. Oh, I loved yesterday. If you guys aren't aware of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, then please, forgive me for the maybe 60-second tangent I'm about to go on. But if you guys have not seen Gordon Ryan, who's arguably the best of my position, he's the best grappler on the planet right now, going after Keenan Cornelius, who elite American, elite level grappler, and Gordon, he must have called him a cunt, half a dozen times during this tirade. And it was a thing of beauty. It was a thing of beauty because Keenan was acting like a cunt. Specifically, and if you don't follow jiu-jitsu, what is the relevance to you, this story I'm talking about? You had a guy, Keenan, who had just opened up his school, and he is, he's not married, he doesn't have children, he doesn't have any real responsibilities. He's an elite level competitor. He has a bunch of guys that were training at his school, his new school, and he came out and saying, I'm going to close. One of the first guys, I'm closing the school because of the coronavirus. Listen, do you, boo-boo? But then this is where the cuntiness came. The cuntiness came when he started calling out other people in their schools. See, like that's where you fucked up, man. That's where you fucked up. I will tell you right now because it's after the fact. And a lot of you school owners fucked this up, all right? So next time you'll know. My school was open until New York City or New York State, because it was Como, mandated that I closed. I had to close. I was forced to close. Or else face fines and, you don't pay your fines, it doesn't go away, right? So choose your battles. So I had to close. But the entire time all these other people were closing and I was staying open, I was having classes and everything, I never started talking about it on social media. That's where a lot of you guys fucked up. Right? It's like when you're, defying what seems to be the momentum of the industry and you're posting it on social media, who are you talking to? Who needs to see that? All your students, the ones that really matter, they're at the school. But this is the problem. Why? Because a lot of the people who are keeping their schools open, you just think too highly of people. You just think too highly of people. There are people who are, and I've said this before, great from great positions and terrible in terrible positions. Why you would expect them to be anything different is beyond me. But everybody's learning. Everybody's learning. Right? Pressure to power. That's my motto. Right now, everybody's navigating a whole bunch of pressure. Whether you like it or not, you are going to walk out of this thing with new abilities, with new skills, with a better relationship with yourself. In more ways than one. Joke grenade. But that's what it's supposed to be, And one of the things, and I'll share this with you. I share it with most of my coaching students. Everybody wants to get stronger. Everybody wants to climb their ladder. But it's when these opportunities in real life show up, we need to remind ourselves of our commitment to that process. You know, we look at situations like this, and there are so many people who are willing to throw in the towel or cop to one of these woe is me mindsets. And some of these same people go to the gym and lift weights. And they put on heavy weight. And sometimes, you know, they push through it. Sometimes they might fail for a rep, you know, but they keep going back to the gym. They keep getting stronger. They see their muscles growing. Muscles don't grow in a day. It takes some time. And they're doing that. So they understand the concept. Or they're martial artists. They go and the first day they get their ass kicked. And every day after that, they get their ass kicked a little less. Until eventually they start developing the ability to occasionally kick an ass. They understand the concept. Those of you that start new jobs, you're oblivious to what's going on. You don't know the people. You don't know the social dynamics. You might not know the skills itself. After a while, you're the veteran. They send the new guys to you to show them the ropes. You understand the concept. We need to remind ourselves of that concept during times like this, when it seems like everything's fallen down. Everything around us is out to get us, some of you guys think. This is unfair. This is no. It's all fair. It's all fair. What were the chances of us being where we are right now? 100%. Why? Because here we fucking are. To look at it any other way is a waste of time and fucking energy. We do what we have to do. Right now, listen, if people were dropping like fucking AIDS was hitting back in the 80s, if people were dropping like that from the coronavirus, I'd be the first one. I'd have a fucking body condom on, you know, just like sliding sandwiches up, you know, a couple times a day. Maybe a little bit more than a couple. Like, I'm not all about ignoring reality. I'm not about saying, listen, I don't give a fuck. I lift weights, I know jujitsu, and I do Wim Hof breathing. I am invincible. Like, I'm not that fucking idiot. But I am at some point going to say, okay. You know, a skill. Let me share something with you guys that I learned from Tom Kyer. He's the head of SIAC Tactical Group, and it was during my work with SIAC Tactical Group early on that I learned something called the Deescalation Cycle. This is from Tom, Pamana SIAC. This is SIAC's concept, as it was taught to me. When a threat presents itself, you start at a level where you're ready to bring the house. As that threat identifies itself as being less threatening, you adjust accordingly. Somebody pulls a gun out on you, and you go, hey man, take it easy. And you get shot, you fucked up. If you have the ability to handle that gun, that threat, and you decided, hey, let's not go there yet. Like, it's the exact opposite of what I'm saying. So why am I talking about this? Because this is my mindset now. All right, I have a sort of a model to follow. From SIAC, from STG, from Tom, from Pamana SIAC. This thing presents itself and it's like, okay, where is the food supply? Where is the gas supply? What's up with the generator? What's up with, like, I'm checking my guys. How much food do you have? Do you guys need food? Do you need cleaning supplies? Who needs money? Is everybody good? Are you safe? Do you guys need to move anywhere? How's your living? Like, it was all there. My guys could attest. We went fucking DEFCON fucking 1,000,000 when this thing came out. But now, here we are. It's like, okay, guys, we have some metrics now. We're starting to see this whole, you know, the hospital system's going to collapse and everybody's going to fucking die. We're starting to see that, all right, maybe that was at a gear setting a little bit higher than where we need to be right now. Now we have other concerns that are presenting themselves. We have people who are going to lose their businesses and all the jobs that are attached to it for other individuals. There are a whole bunch of people now that have statistically negligible exposure to dying from this virus, but now you're going to sabotage their ability to feed their families, to pay their rents, to pay their bills. At some point, we need to understand that there needs to be a de-escalation where the virus is concerned, and we need to start escalating concerns for other threats that we are now becoming more vulnerable to. Like I said, argue the logic to me. Argue the logic. Me, I'm fucking good. I'm good. I'm better off than 99% of the fucking society. So I'm not crying here, save my company. I'm going to be broke. I got all these fucking kids. Like, I'm good. By the way, if my school was my only source of income, I still wouldn't be complaining like a fucking cunt. I'm sorry, cursing much. But right now, like, there's a country that I love called America that has taken on challenges much more damaging and much more threatening than this one. And we always come out on top. The way that I see alliance, and those of you that are familiar with my work and the models that I use, alliance occurs at many different levels. Well, at the national alliance, we as Americans have been through more than this. We've come out on the strong end of a lot more damaging obstacles than this. But at some point, we have to remind ourselves that even in The Walking Dead, somebody fucking goes out for supplies. We can't survive on sand, people. At some point, you're going to have to fucking take your head out of it and start dealing with the real world. That's all I'm saying. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I see a bunch of you guys commenting. There's too many. I'm all fired up. I haven't eaten today. My wife's cooking right now, and it should be done. I asked her when dinner was going to be ready, and she gave me a time, and I tried to schedule the live show just with that. So as much as I love you all, I love her meat sauce and pasta a little bit more. But I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. Listen, while this shit's going on, I'm going to be a regular voice in your fucking head and on your computer screen. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. And as always, brothers and sisters, pressure to motherfucking power.